There you go, temporary domain. So each site on Flywheel gets a temporary domain you can use to build your site and kind of show it to your client along the way. So this one's going to be rickazydemo.flywheelsites.com. And down here, I have a couple options about how I would like to pay for this site. So we do this cool thing where we allow designers to launch free demo sites and have their client pay for them later. So we allow designers and developers to launch and build WordPress sites on Flywheel for free. And what it's asking me is, would I like to pay for the site personally, or will I let my client pay for the site later? And if I elect to have the client pay for the site later, then I'm going to launch a free demo site on Flywheel. So I'm going to do that. And this will spin up here in a couple minutes. As a managed WordPress host, I can talk about some of the things that we do. I'll walk through this dashboard once the site launches, and this will take less than a couple minutes at most. And in the meantime, we try to hypnotize you with some colors and spinning wheels. Come on. Well, this is no fun.
Would you love live demos?
Yeah. What, you mean you guys are still seeing the wheel? It's already on my end. Nice. Yeah, I'll do this. Check in that site, but let's go into here. So when your site's up online, it looks like this is your site's dashboard on Flywheel. So it gives you all kind of the things that you need to do to manage your WordPress site. This is the overview page of the dashboard for your site, and this is actually our own marketing site. So on the left side, I mentioned collaborators, and these are all the people that actually have access to this site on Flywheel, and you can just easily invite people to work on the project with you by just an email address. So if I just invite my partner Dusty here, he's already a part of it, but I can add him to the site. And what happens is if the person does not have an account with us already, then they'll be invited to join via email, and once they sign up, they'll have access to the site in their dashboard. This kind of eliminates the need to share passwords or login accounts. And every account on Flywheel also comes with an SFTP account. So again, you don't have to create SFTP accounts or share passwords for logins when you're working with collaborators or contractors or teammates or whatever. And it's also as easy just to remove anyone. So if you're done with them on the project and they don't need access anymore, you could easily remove someone from the project, and they'll no longer have access to the project from both their dashboard on Flywheel and via SFTP, which is pretty cool. On the right side are domains. So as you get ready to launch the site and go live with it, you'll need to add a domain, obviously, and here's that. I'm not going to mess with our live site, but you can add a primary domain. If you add the getflywheel.com domain and set it as primary, we go into the database, we make that change for you so you don't have to, and then you can point the domain from your registrar at this IP address, which is pretty easy, and then you'd be live on Flywheel. At the bottom right, when you create a free demo site, demo sites generally have some type of time limit on them, and there'll be a banner at the top that tells you how much time is left. And all sites are password protected during that time. This password is obviously off because this site is live, but you can flip the switch on and off at any time. So if you're working on the project, it doesn't have to be live to the world. Also, Google doesn't crawl it that way or anything. And you can share the password with your client as you work on the site. Makes it easy to show the work in progress and kind of use Flywheel as a demo server. And once you're ready to go live, you just flip that switch and the password's off. The other tabs here are just kind of other things that you might need to do to manage your WordPress site. So we have a number of add-ons. That's what we call these. Basically, if your site needed SSL support, if you're running an e-commerce store or something like that, you can add it with just a click of a button. Also, content delivery networks is also an option on the add-ons page. And also multi-site. So we support multi-site on every on our $30 plan and up, and you can add multi-site with just a click of a button as well, and we'll install it and get it all ready to go for you. And the backups tab lists kind of all your backups that you have on Flywheel. So we take backups every night, and that's just automatically happens each night for you. And you can also create a backup on the fly at any time. So I could create a backup, name it AZ demo, and this will fire off a backup right now for us. Basically, that's good for when you're making changes to the site and you don't want to, break anything. You can make a backup before you do that. So if something does happen, you can just restore with just a click, which we also allow for. So clicking the button here would just ask you to restore the backup, so you can get back up and running if you do have a problem. The backups also kind of list what changes have been made since the last backup, so it kind of makes it easy for you to decide what backup actually has the changes that you might have needed. So that backup's running, and it'll take a few seconds to do that. And the advanced tab are kind of things like flushing your cache. So with each WordPress site, we do have a caching layer above it that we manage. There's no need to set up any WordPress caching plugins or anything like that. But if you need to flush the cache manually, you can do this from the advanced tab. Also, we give the option of enabling like WordPress debugging with the on-off switch, as opposed to kind of adding a function to your functions file. So you can just do that from the click of a button. And on the right side, on this advanced tab, it shows you kind of what version of WordPress you're on. So with Flywheel, we also manage all your WordPress core updates. So when a new version of WordPress comes out, we kind of roll it out to all of our sites on Flywheel, and we manage that process. It's partially automated, it's partially manual, so that our support team actually checks to make sure the site doesn't break during the upgrade. And if it does, we'll roll it back to the earlier version and make sure that we can fix that problem that was caused by the upgrade, which might be something like a plugin being out of date or something like that. And we'll take care of that for you, so that you don't have to worry about when WordPress does update, it doesn't break your site. Flywheel just manages that process for you. And right now, you can see that this site's actually on the latest version of WordPress. So, and then down here is the database access. You have full database access from the WordPress, or excuse me, the Flywheel database manager. So if you need to run queries or import SQL files or back up your database, you can do that from here if you'd like. And that's just again access from the advanced tab. And finally, billing. This is a free site, so that's not going to work. So let me go back to the site that I created for you guys. There you go. So this is the site that spun up for you guys. And here's the bar that I mentioned in the top. So it says this thing has 14 days left. That'll count down, and as it gets closer, you'll get a few emails letting you know that the expiration limit on the site's approaching. And if you need more time, we're happy to push things out for you. Really, we just would like the site to stay on Flywheel when it's ready to go live, and then you can pay at that time. So we're happy to give you more time if you need it. And as I mentioned, here's that password. This is a demo site, so the password is on the site if I visit it. All right, and I can just use this generated password if I'd like to, or I could actually change that password. But if I, it's just a stock WordPress install. It's ready to go. I could obviously log into the WordPress admin as well, which I set up the credentials in the new site form. So that's what's going on down here. That's that password that I wasn't able to show you because we were on a paid site earlier. If I try to turn it off, it's going to ask me to complete billing, and I'll show that here now since we kind of walked through everything else. The billing tab just lists your billing for the site, so all your billing history lives here. You can switch credit cards, do all of that kind of payment management there. But if I actually decide to actually go live with the site and pay for the site, again, we created a demo site, so I do have the option to transfer it to my client. So I can pay for the site myself and just do that just as easily, but I can click on this transfer to my client tab, and I can just kind of give my client's email address, and select the plan for them if you'd like to, or they could choose the plan themselves. And if you need any add-ons, you can select those as well. Most times your client probably doesn't really know that they need SSL support, but you're building an e-commerce site, so you can check it for them so they don't have to go through the headache of stumbling through kind of a billing process on a hosting site. We kind of make it easy for them. And they can enter a personal message and say, hey, Rick, pay, yo. and then send that off to your client. And what happens is they'll get an email asking them to purchase hosting for this site that you're working on, and they just sign up for Flywheel, and they're dropped right on the billing page, and they just put in their credit card information and take care of that. You'll get an alert saying that they paid, so you can help take the site live at that point. And again, the site will remain in your dashboard since you will be a collaborator at that point. And again, your client would pay for the hosting, but you have full access to it from your Flywheel dashboard. So makes it easy, kind of a good experience for your clients, simplifies kind of the billing process and site kind of transfer off. So that's kind of a Flywheel in a nutshell. And if anyone has any questions or anything regarding the demo, happy to answer any.
How much is it? How much?
What's the question?
How much is it?
Question. So our plans start at $15 a month, and it's per site. So here's the pricing information. It kind of scales based on traffic. So the tiny plan, which is a $15 a month plan, accounts for 5,000 visits, and a visit is a unique IP address per 24-hour period. So Google Analytics is a good estimate on that, and again, it kind of scales up from there. In the near future, we're launching what we're calling bulk plans, which would basically allow for 10 sites for $100 a month and 25 sites for $250 a month. Basically, get a little price break for hosting many sites with us, and that should launch in the next couple weeks here, actually. So if you're interested in that, you can put your email address in here, and we're happy to get you in the beta on that. So. Anything else?
Really? Would you, we've heard a lot about WP Engine here.
Yeah.
Because of the WordCamp had been a huge sponsor for us.
Yep.
Can you kind of highlight maybe the differences you and WP Engine?
Yeah, absolutely. We're better. It's not. It's that simple, right? Yeah. So one sec. Let me see if I can get back to how's this thing work. There you go. Yeah. Am I back? There I am.
There you are.
Yeah. So some of the differences are. I mean, we do a lot of similar things in that we are a managed WordPress host, so we manage your backups, your performance, and your security for you, so you don't have to worry about that stuff. So you can basically get back to designing websites. What does make us different is that we do each site on Flywheel has dedicated resources. So that means that you aren't sharing resources with any site on Flywheel at all. So you don't have to worry about sites slowing you down or anything like that. On WP Engine, they do actually share resources, which isn't the case on Flywheel. We also give dedicated IP addresses for each. So things like SSL support are available on every plan, where on Flywheel, or excuse me, on WP Engine, I believe it starts at the $100 a month plan. So, and that's just because they are sharing resources and they can provide the service across every site for that price. So, outside of that, we also work really hard on the software side of things to work around the workflow of a design creative professional, so that really what it comes down to is you work with your clients. We want you to be able to host and manage your sites very easily. And we do things like the transferring billing, as an example. We'll be rolling out staging sites very soon. But really focusing on the software side of hosting that we think is kind of an untapped area. It's kind of the innovation around hosting is slow, and we're working on the software side of it all. So. Yeah.
Can you
Mm-hmm.
What about hacks and restoration of sites that have been hacked?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so reaching out on Flywheel, we do a number of security enhancements to your site right on the gate. So things like limiting login attempts, proactively monitoring for brute force attempt or hacks, and proactively banning IP addresses that are hammering your server, as an example. We do also scan each site every night for malware infections. So if your site does get hacked, we're detected right away about it, and usually that's because an out-of-date plugin or something like that. A lot of times it's really out of control, and we're just detected of it, and we'll clean it up for free. So it's just part of the service for each site on Flywheel. We also do free migrations, so which I think that was one thing that makes us kind of unique, is that if you did have a site somewhere else that was actually infected with malware, and you wanted us to clean it up, if we would just migrate it to our servers, clean it up for free, and you just choose a hosting plan and host it with us moving forward, we'll do that. We also migrate from any server, regardless whether the site's hacked or not. It's part of our service.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's 8:45 here.
Beer 45?
He said staging a couple questions ago, and can you ask about the feature and then redeploying from staging?
So when is your staging going to be ready?
Yeah.
And when that is, are you going to have it to where it will go both ways, where you can go live to staging and then deploy from staging back to live?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't actually know how WP Engine does it. You're probably referring to kind of how they do it, I'd imagine. But for us, the staging environments will launch sometime this summer, probably later this summer. And they'll work exactly like you described them. So you'll be able to pull from the production environment down to staging and work off of that, and then push to production when you're ready to go. You can also push just the database or just the files. And it should work pretty nicely. So you just flip a switch in your dashboard, turn on a staging site, and start developing, and then just push and pull from each side as you need to. So.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
The CDN feature, what CDN are you guys using?
Max CDN.
Great.
Yep. And that's just $10 a month on each plan. It's included on the professional plan and up, so any custom plans that you might need, we include CDN on all of those. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And we'll talk later.
Yeah. Definitely hit me up some other time. Maybe we can make it down to a work camp sometime. We'd love to be down there.
Awesome. We'd love to have you.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. It was like 45 there. So wherever it's 8. Somewhere where it's 8:45.
So he's in the U.S.
Yeah, I think he's in the U.S. Yeah. I was thinking Kansas. There was Headway that was doing this, so I'm not sure.
Probably one done.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What's CDN?
CDN is Content Delivery Network. So a content delivery network, whenever you have a lot of information on your site, it can slow your site down, and your website or your server has a hard time delivering up all the content, whether it be lots of pictures, videos, audio, or whatever. So on sites like that, you can create a CDN, and a CDN are supercharged servers that can deliver that content super fast. So you load the content on this supercharged server, and your website runs off of here. That's kind of.
Thank you.
That's a good way to put it.
So supercharged server.
Yeah, well, it's basically like, because it's a network, it's about having multiple servers in multiple different parts of the world.
Yes.
And so it's all about how far the data really has traveled. And so if you're hitting a CDN in Las Vegas instead of a CDN in New York, you're going to get a better time.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, Nebraska.
All right, so let's do some quick introductions, then we're going to go into plugin review. So let's just do, let's see, what can we say, something fun, trying to get networking later. Your most recent out-of-town trip, your name and your most recent out-of-town trip. My name is Carol Stambaugh. I run Free Up Web Studio with Jeremy, and I was in Payson up on the Rim a couple weekends ago camping.
All right. I'm Joe Manna, and my most recent trip was to Tucson, which is, I guess, is out of town, on July 4th weekend. Let's see which way. Sure.
Just keep going.
My name is Andrea, and I'm trying really hard to remember my last town trip. I'm like, I was in Vegas in May. I dimly remember that trip, so I'm just going to call that my last one.
I'm Dan. My last trip was in Rocky Point to the Rocky Point concert a couple weeks ago.
And my couple weeks ago, I was in Raleigh for sure.
I'm Micah, and I went to San Diego. I'm Pete, and I was at Cape Cod.
I'm Ann, and I was in Vegas for a blogging.
I'm Trudy, and I went to Bisbee, Arizona on a Sunday afternoon and I had 2 beers at the Old Town Brewery. We didn't get to see much of anything else. It's a sleepy town on a Sunday, but it was beautiful.
I'm George Lerner, had a visit to St. Louis recently.
Jack Rowley, and spent a week at the North Rim a couple of weeks ago. The first trip there was pretty nice.
I'm Alexandria Starr, and my last trip was Sedona.
My name's April Holly. I run Make Better Studio, and I think my last trip was up to northern Arizona to see Lee's Berry Lodge because I have a client up there. They're really awesome. They're really close. So that was. Carol?
Oh, I already said.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Connor Pepper. I do mainly independent contractor freelance. And I went to Pascal last week. So that was fun.
Hi, I'm Linda. I went to Vegas a few weeks ago for business.
Claire. My name's Claire, and I went to Michigan where.
What's up, everyone? My name's Austin. I just recently went to Colorado.
Getting hot. How was it hot?
Oh, was it?
I'm assuming you went there for hot.
No, I didn't even hear it. No, I didn't go small.
My name is Monica, and I was most recently in Tucson.
My name's Jeremy. I co-run Free Up Web Studio with Carol, and I was recently in Christopher Creek.
Oh, that's where Cliff
My
was.
name's Cliff, and I just got back from the Grand Canyon where I took my 2 daughters and 3 women.
Wow.
Man, I was worried where I was going to fall.
My name's Eileen, and I've been to Seattle, California, and Phoenix. Yes. That's about still hanging in.
Yeah, it says we're live.
Lori?
My name's Lori, and I just drove in.
That doesn't count as a vacation.
Biggest trip was at Lugo's Deli at
My name is Barbara, and I actually just got back from vacation yesterday for hometown.
My name is Joel, and my last trip was to Houston. The best thing coming out of Houston is the interstate.
Is that it? Do we have everyone?
Order an introduction.
Yes. Your name and your last trip, where you were out of town.
I'm Jack, and I guess the last trip I was on was to see family in Vancouver, Washington.
All right.
Nice.
So after we conclude, please feel free to network and get to know each other. That's some of the most valuable time that we have together is just kind of networking and just helping each other out. So use that time after we're done. We're now going to move into the next part, which is plugin review. So Joe is the one that's going to review Better. It used to be called Better WP Security, and iThemes purchased it. And iThemes is now, is it called iThemes Security? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so he's going to review it and tell us all about it.
How many minutes do I have, would you say, about?
20, 15, 20.
Okay, cool. All right. So, didn't rehearse any of this, so it'll be pretty interactive. So if there's a question you have, just ask. So, this is the plugin that we're talking about. Literally, it says iTheme Security, formerly Better WP Security. That's the full name. You'll find it if you just go into your plugins in your WordPress and you just type in iTheme security, it'll come right up, but it'll have that long title. You also, if you Google for it, iTheme security, it'll take you to here, which is a landing page for iTheme Security Pro. The biggest differences between Pro and free, because there's both a free and a paid plugin, is you get additional tech support. So if you find that you get hacked frequently or you're not comfortable logging into your WordPress site and accessing your FTP or your SQL files, then it would probably be advisable to invest into Pro plan. But for most people, the plugin is pretty stable and it's pretty easy to use, and I'll walk you through it, that you can safely be able to use it and not need to use the Pro plan. iThemes, they actually are a pretty reputable player in a plugin space. They own like 5 or 6 other plugins. They also own the famous plugin that we always recommend, which is Backup Buddy. So they're definitely a solid one that you can trust. So it installs the same way. If you just go into your plugins and you just install on here. I turned off Cloudflare, so it might be a little slow today.
CDN yet again.
That's a CDN, by the way.
Connecting the dots.
Why did you turn it off?
I was planning to do a live demo of a scan of my site, but I don't think I'll be able to right now. All right. I just typed in iThemes, and there it is. So then you install it. Pretty simple process. If you have trouble installing it, you probably have other issues going on with your WordPress site. Perhaps permissions. Maybe it's already compromised. Just something to keep in mind. But I'm assuming that you already got it installed. Then you'll see it on the sidebar here called Security. And just as a preface, right? Installing this plugin and enabling all the settings at once is something I don't recommend. Because when you enable all the settings at once, it's doing a lot of serious activities on your site. It's changing permissions, it's changing your database settings, it's changing your username, it's doing a lot of other settings, and you want to enable them one at a time. Additionally, it's not guaranteed protection. It doesn't mean you will never be hacked again if you haven't been hacked, and doesn't prevent all future attacks. It is just a way to improve security, but security is only as strong as its weakest link, right? So if you have an additional user, let's just call it dev, and then you have the password as password, your site will be hacked momentarily. Like, that's a matter of fact, even if you have the plugin. So just keep in mind that you want to approach like security with just a mindset that you're just improving security. And this is a great tool to walk you through all the steps and all the sort of vulnerabilities